Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another stunning episode of the DNA Show. Thanks for choosing to listen to us today. Hi Anu, hi bro. How are you today?
Hey, hi, Dave. I'm doing good. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to our listeners at whatever time you're listening to the show. I welcome you all to the DNA show.
So, Anu, how everybody likes to travel. Everybody likes to talk about travel.
Yeah, it's their favorite part of their hobby.
Yeah, and we
Yeah,
have had lots of conversation on it, right? We have
yeah.
talked about it a lot. Let's bring the world into this conversation today. And since we are two very different kind of travelers,
Yep.
it's going to be a very interesting conversation for our listeners, right?
Yes, we both are quite opposites when it comes to travel. So I think that's what's going to come up when you listen to us.
Yeah. So just to give some more insight to our listeners, I am somewhat of a conventional typical traveler who likes to plan my vacations, who likes to plan my entire travel to the point where every minute of my vacation is planned. I mean, it sounds very weird, but I am that sort of a person who likes to go prepared for everything.
It's like
And
very meticulous planning.
yeah, for me, a vacation planning is a 1 month of work.
Wow. I
For
will
a
need a vacation just for that.
Yeah, for a 10-day vacation, we plan for a month. And that's how we are as a couple, me and my wife. So that we like to do it. For us, vacation, the anticipation actually starts from the day we start planning.
Okay.
And you are someone who just dives into the deeper end, right?
Yes, I'm exactly opposite. I don't like planning at
Yeah.
vacations.
And hence this is a very really interesting conversation that we are going to have today. So what's your take? Since you are a very unconventional, uh, sort of an adventurous traveler,
Yes.
how does a typical vacation look like for you?
So funny enough, right? I want to start off with this story where, right after my marriage, when we were planning our honeymoon, we were we were having people, telling us go to Maldives, go to
Yeah, yeah.
Andaman, go to
The usual
Bangkok, the
typical
usual
destinations. Yeah.
typical honeymoon destinations. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. So, what I did was I borrowed my friend's car, and I told my
Okay.
wife, we're gonna go on a road trip.
Yeah.
And she was like, it's our honeymoon. You really want to do that? I was like, how does it matter? We've dated
Yeah,
each
it's
other
our
for
honeymoon, right?
10 years. Like,
Yeah.
let's just make it a trip. Let's not call it a cliched word as a honeymoon.
Yeah.
Right. And so, again, I'm a beach person and she is a mountain person.
Oh wow.
So, the story got really interesting.
Hmm.
So, just like about a month or so before the marriage, I was like, let's do this road trip.
Hmm.
And my mom was like, no, it's too dangerous. You're driving in India.
Two newly married couples on the
Exactly.
Indian roads
Exactly.
with no plan.
With no plan, with no bookings, no plan. Just head up,
Correct.
just
Yeah.
drive.
Yeah.
That's about it. And my mom was like, why don't you guys go to Andaman? I was like,
Hmm.
please pay for it. I'll be more than happy to go with. And she was like, okay, do your thing.
Do whatever you want to.
Exactly. So yeah, we started a journey late night.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a road trip. We ended up in Goa
Hmm.
in the morning. We had no bookings,
Yeah.
and I remember just randomly searching hotels
Yeah.
and before entering Goa,
Hmm.
and we kind of like this one place. I don't remember the name of the hotel now, but yeah,
Hmm.
it was looking very fancy and good.
Hmm.
That this was back in 2014 when I used Google Maps,
Hmm.
and it just placed me to some weird parking lot which had nothing around it and said you've arrived. And I was wondering now, this
That's Google
is this
Maps
a
for you in
good
India.
plan or not? Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And then little bit of searching here and then we
Yeah.
found the hotel. So yeah, I mean, we stayed there for 2 or 3 days.
Hmm.
We ended up coming to your house.
Yeah.
So
It was my pleasure of hosting you guys for your honeymoon.
yes, and it was fun. I still remember the night where we had
Yeah.
a lot of vodka. So yeah, I mean, we enjoyed the beach and then we head off to Kurg,
Hmm. Hmm.
and that again was like a very beautiful drive because it's part of the coastal roads
Yeah. Yeah.
between the Goa and Karnataka highway. And yeah, I mean, we stopped one day, one night, uh, at a place in Karnataka, because I
Hmm,
didn't
hmm.
want to venture out at night because it was like an unknown road for me.
At least some sanity
Y-
existed even then.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean that was like a first step of responsibility, right?
yeah.
Like a marriage. So yeah, we ended up to Kurg. We stayed there for a couple of days, and
Hmm, hmm.
I remember driving back from morning 7 a.m. to night 12, 1,000 kilometers straight.
Nice.
And I think we stayed back in Pune
Okay.
because I wanted to reach Mumbai, but my wife was like, "No, you are not driving anymore. That's it."
Yeah,
Because I
1,000 kilometers
was,
is any which way is
yeah,
a big deal.
yeah. So that's like travel for me. I mean, I love road trips,
Hmm,
and
hmm,
I love the feeling of driving a machine or riding a machine.
hmm, hmm.
So it really gives me that thrill of not knowing what I'm doing next. So it always ends up becoming a storyline, right? So that's what I think of travel. And I know that you're very meticulous when it comes to planning and stuff. So how about how do you go about it?
So, as I said, for typically for us, a 10-day vacation involves a month-long planning, right from deciding on the date,
Okay.
because we do have corporate lives to manage.
Yep.
So, dates are very, very critical. And me and Ankita, we usually choose to avoid the usual dates. We choose to avoid
The
the
long
long
weekends.
weekends because we both prefer thinly populated places.
Okay.
We prefer where we don't find too many people.
Okay.
And because we travel mostly in off season, it saves on a lot of money
Mm-hmm.
and we are able to explore more without too much of external disturbances.
Okay.
So I will give you a very typical example. So Goa for us is a very, very religious trip at least once in 2 years.
Makes sense.
And I've stayed in Goa. I love that place. But my choice of visiting Goa is always between the months of July and August.
Okay.
That's a time when very, very few people travel to Goa.
It's one of the most beautiful months to be there, right? Rainy
Exactly.
season, the
I
monsoons.
I keep telling this to everyone and nobody believes me. Please understand, Goa is a part of the Konkan and the
Belt.
coastal belt of Maharashtra.
Yep.
It just it becomes glorious in monsoons.
Yep.
If you want to really feel the beauty of Goa, it has to be in monsoons. And honestly, some part of my mind does not want to have this conversation because I don't want people to go there in July and August. I want it to be serene and peaceful when I go there.
Yeah, I think Goa's pretty much peaked now.
Yeah, I mean, people still visit once in a year, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Everybody has that
Has
गोवा वाला
have
प्लान
their
बनाते हैं.
own memories of Goa.
हाँ, and वो हर किसी का होता है ना कि चलो गोवा चलते हैं.
That one friend who always
हाँ,
ditches.
our choice is कि यार we'll go in July August. We will enjoy the culture because I have a lot of local friends in Goa.
Yep.
So we have a lot of common things to connect on. So, for example, I will give you there is a beautiful festival in Goa, a local regional festival
Mm-hmm.
called Sanjao,
Okay.
which is a monsoon festival.
All right.
Uh, it is basically a festival that locals celebrate with a lot of fun and fanfare.
Okay.
And that is a very important part of my trip usually. I like to go and chill with the locals.
Nice.
I do not go to the usual burritos, Tito's, Mambo's sort of kind of places.
Nice.
Because of my local connections, I have access to a lot of local joints, places where usually tourists wouldn't land up.
Yeah.
Hence, those places are better in terms of crowd management. The food is much better because it's local, it's authentic, uh, and you get the actual taste of the culture.
Nice. So, diving off Goa, I
Yeah.
know that you've done a couple of trips abroad,
Hmm, hmm.
right? So how do you plan that?
So typically international. See, to be honest, I if given a choice whether to travel within India or go international, my choice would always be international because of
Exactly
two simple
opposite of me.
reasons. One, uh, it's not really different in terms of commercial expenses. The cost is more or less the same. Today, because we prefer to stay, because we travel during the off season, we prefer to stay in premium places.
Okay.
and we can afford to stay in premium places because they become a little cheaper during the off season. And we like a certain standard of life because safety is at the forefront of our travel.
True that. Especially when you're traveling abroad to a different
Yeah.
country.
So safety is paramount for us. My choice of hotels is most of the times international chains,
Okay.
like your Marriott's or your Hilton's or your
Where you know the
Sofitels.
things won't go
Yeah,
wrong.
where I know there is a certain level of standardization
Yep.
and I can hold people responsible if anything goes wrong.
True that.
And because we do that, it becomes a little uh, about the budget sometimes. But so is the case in India as well.
Yeah.
It's not cheap to travel within India. I want to just put it out there. Unless you are really planning to skimp on things, it's not cheap to travel even in India. Cabs are expensive. I'm not somebody who likes to drive on a vacation.
Hmm.
I want to be treated.
Like a chauffeur
I
driven
like to
car.
be chauffeur driven during my vacations. I
Yeah. And
don't
I'm
like to,
exactly the
yeah.
opposite.
Because for me, vacation is taking that time for yourself,
Hmm.
giving that pampering to yourself to ensure that you are well re energized when you come back.
Okay.
So, for us, international travel is basically first finalizing the dates, the destinations, and then coming down to the basic documentation, the visa, the paperwork, the insurance.
That's what I don't like.
No, so we have, me and Ankita, we have covered about 5 destinations till now. Most of them are very, very commercial. So we did Singapore a few years back, we did Maldives, we did Thailand. We have,
Russia.
I was coming to it. So we have done Bali and then Russia.
Yeah.
So except for Russia, all of them are mostly commercial destinations. It involved a lot of planning because we want to chunk in as much as we can, but we also like to keep in a lot of free time for ourselves. So even when we travel, we like to keep that breathing room for ourselves. There will be
Yeah.
some days in our itinerary where we'll be doing nothing, just chilling around in our hotel room.
That's good. It brings me down to this point, right? I've seen a lot of people traveling on a budget,
Hmm, hmm.
international, and then staying at a place which is like a sharing place, what you call
Yeah,
as hostel,
hostels.
hostels, and then they are constantly running. Like morning 5 a.m. I need to
Yeah,
cover
yeah,
this
yeah.
point. 7 a.m. I need to be here for sunrise, and evening I need to be at certain point.
Hmm.
So what I feel is it's a lot of stress. I
Yeah,
mean,
absolutely it is.
you are traveling in an unknown destination, unknown culture,
Hmm.
and then you're constantly running
Too much of a
around
risk.
trying to figure out the transport, how the local transport work, the currency, and you are not well versed with the culture, the
Yeah,
language. So it kind of brings in the dark side of travel to me.
yeah.
Like, I mean, maybe it's just my fear of unknown.
No, you're right. And hence, what we do is, I will just give you one example. So, if
Yeah,
we are taking connecting flights, I have a habit of ensuring that we at least have 2 to 3 hours between the connecting flights.
yeah,
Because when you're traveling, everything that can go wrong
can go wrong.
might go wrong and
Yeah,
probably will go wrong. So, you have to be prepared for it.
yeah. I
And Ankita keeps telling me that I'm a paranoid traveler, but I'm fine with it.
no, I mean, I have a similar thing with flights, so I
Yeah,
can
so
understand. Yeah,
see, these are practical challenges that will
true.
come up. Your hotel might mess up your reservation. So you have to call up, even if it's the best of the hotel in the town, you have to call up and reconfirm twice.
Yep.
There's nothing wrong in it. There is no harm in being cautious, especially when you're traveling to another country. A few things are very critical. One is documentation. You don't want to land
Mess
up
up
in a
that.
place and find yourself in a situation like the movie Terminal, right?
Yeah.
Where you have nowhere to go. You don't want that.
Yep.
Second thing, your currencies have to be sorted.
Yeah.
Money is a very, very critical instrument anywhere in the world.
Yep.
Again, the reason why we pick up good hotels is because safety.
Yep.
You're in a foreign country, uh, though it is always said that India is not a safe place to travel, so other countries are. they aren't as safe as they are portrayed to be.
Yeah, I remember you having some kind of fraud that took place in Russia, right?
Yeah, so very, very interesting incident. Day one of our Russia trip, right?
Yeah.
We just stepped out of the hotel, and I have this habit of carrying everything on me.
Yeah.
I don't leave.
Typical Dave for
Yeah,
the
I
listeners.
carry everything with me, right from our passports to our uh, visa documentation, because I want to be ready if anywhere anything goes wrong.
Yeah.
These are basic documents that you need to carry. So I had this habit of carrying everything on me, including cash
Okay.
and cards, everything on me. And one day we just lost that bag, and we had no clue because we did not have our India numbers working at that time
Yeah.
because we were an international country. When we reached the hotel, I connected to the Wi-Fi. I started getting all these messages and emails from my banks, and very soon I realized my credit cards were maxed out. My bank
Freak.
accounts were completely emptied out.
But yeah, I mean, considering that, one of the best banking systems are in India, I think different countries have, they just swipe the card and that's
Yeah,
about it,
so
right?
in Russia the system is very clear. You don't have a
To authentication.
two
Yeah.
factor authentication. So somebody just kept swiping my cards everywhere,
Fuck.
and they made merry on it. But again, thanks to the Indian banking system and all the insurances that cover our cards, I went into a Russian police station.
How was that?
Ah, to be honest, I think they are very sweet people,
Okay.
portrayed very purely in Hollywood movies. But we had a very decent experience. We walked in with a hotel rep into the police station. We just told them our problem, and they were very, very polite and empathetic. Issued us an FIR immediately. When we came back to India, we submitted that FIR to our bankers, and the procedure was lengthy, but we did not lose a single penny. We got
Okay.
every rupee back.
Again, one of the perks staying at a good hotel is that rep coming to you at the
Yes,
police station.
absolutely. So this rep was very polite, very helpful. She came with us to the police station. She managed to translate the entire conversation because, see, again, Russia is a country where you wouldn't find a lot of English speakers.
Yep.
So, because we stayed in a good hotel, we managed to find a representative who could translate between English and Russian, was able to communicate our problem to the police, and everybody cooperated very well with us.
So,
And this happened on day one of our trip, which was a 17-day long trip.
wow. I was about to ask you that. So, how did you manage the rest of the trip without the cards?
So, what happened luckily is Ankita kept some money with us, her,
Okay.
which I did not have because we usually have a habit of dividing our cash that we carry
Yep.
amongst the two of us. So I lost everything that I had, but she managed to hold back onto what she had.
Typical Indian wife
Yeah,
thing.
and Amex was very helpful, so I use American Express.
Yeah.
American Express was very helpful. All the transactions that were done on my card were reversed on the next day.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, American Express being the king of
Yeah.
cards.
So I just had to call them up, tell them that this had gone wrong. They did not ask me for any documents. They did not ask me for any proofs.
Yeah.
They said, "Sir, it's you are away from your home. We are just reversing this. We will talk about it once you're back." What they did even better, they said they gave me an option of if I wanted a cash drop.
Okay.
Because I was a platinum member or something, they offered me a cash drop. They were willing to give me an additional cash benefit.
All right.
uh, they were they asked me for my location. They said, if you want, we'll drop you some cash in this place, which will help you to live in that country for another few days.
That's beautiful.
So we did not have to choose that option, but everything went on super smooth from there on.
Great.
So this is what happens when your everything is planned, right?
Yeah.
Most of our hotel was already paid
Yeah.
for our entire trip. Our travel was paid for. Our tourist guides were paid for. So even if we did not have enough cash, we survived. And once we came back, everything was settled. Within 2 months, we were back to normal.
So, do you generally take travel insurance separately?
Absolutely, it's mandatory. It's a compliance. There's no choice.
Oh, okay.
And for every country, there is a different insurer that you should go with. Uh,
Being the
Depending upon the
stronghold of that
country,
particular country.
depending upon the country, I usually choose ICICI Lombard, but there are many options available,
Yeah.
and depending upon the country and the policies, you should choose one. Don't choose it as a formality. You will need it probably.
Great.
If you fall ill somewhere,
Yeah.
you won't be able to pay for the hospital
It's quite
if you're
expensive out there.
skimping on your insurance. It's not like India. You will not find a doctor
To
at a cheaper
prescribe a
cost.
yeah.
Yeah. मतलब
So
इंडिया के जैसा नहीं है कि आप किसी भी डॉक्टर के पास चले जाओगे, बोलोगे पेट दर्द हो रहा है, दवाई दे दो और वो
hmm,
दे देगा. It is going to be expensive. You will have to walk into a proper medical care center. They will ask for your passport and your insurance upfront,
okay.
and if you don't have, they will not treat you.
Wow.
Yeah, it's that strict in some countries. Because we have had such cases also where we have fallen ill in a foreign country, because usually our trips are a little lengthy,
Yeah.
because we travel international once in 3 years. We do a good 15-20 day trip. I remember this. We landed in Singapore, uh, and we had a 20-day trip planned for Singapore.
Wow. 20-day trip
Yeah,
for a
hear
Singapore.
me out. We get into this taxi and he says, "So, where are you from? How long are you going to stay here?" And I told him, "We are from India and we have 20 days." He stopped the car and turned back. He said, "You are here for 20 days in Singapore. What the hell are you going to do for 20 days? This is a country which, all in all put together, is not more than 200 kilometers in area. What the hell are you going to do for that long?" Said, "We have a itinerary plan for it." He said, "I will like to look into the itinerary, because usually when people come to Singapore, it's a 3 or maximum 7 day trip." He said, "I have never had a tourist passenger who has lived in Singapore for more than 7 days."
I think even the immigrant officer must have looked
Yeah,
at.
so this is what happened. Even at the immigration, they were like, "You're here for 20 days." I said, "Yes." And he then asked me for the itinerary. So I gave him the itinerary and he was like, "Okay, please carry on." So everybody was like, 20 days in Singapore? And then me and Ankita were like, have we planned it the right way? But then again, it was 20 days because almost 5 days in that trip was doing nothing. Because we are staying in the best of the properties in Singapore, we stayed at Marina Bay, we stayed at Hard Rock Cafe, Hard Rock Hotel in Singapore. So we had kept few days just to explore these hotels.
Okay.
I mean, when you're paying such
Crazy
a
amount of
crazy
money.
amount of money,
Yeah.
why not enjoy everything that's in the hotel?
Yep.
So we kept 3 days just to explore our hotel at Marina
Did
Bay.
you hit the gym?
No, that is one place that I don't explore at all. I any which ways don't work out. So working out on a vacation is not an option for me at all.
Yeah.
Uh, but I do hit all the restaurants, all the possible bars, casinos, stores. We like to explore everything. So in Marina Bay, we stayed for like 4-5 days. We explored everything, all the Michelin star restaurants, uh, the pool, the casino, and the beauty of this place, Marina Bay, Sands by Marina Bay, is that it's connected to a shopping mall. They have their own shopping mall
Okay.
connected to the hotel. They have an observatory. They have all kinds of touristy places. So we explored everything. The funniest part was we were staying on the 60th floor of this hotel, right? And there is this very beautiful tourist place in Singapore called the Singapore Flyer, which is similar to the London Eye.
Okay.
It was an anniversary trip, and we decided that let's celebrate our anniversary in the Singapore Flyer when we were top of the world. When we were at the peak of on the epg of the Singapore Flyer,
Yeah.
our room was actually higher than that.
Oh.
So it was such a turn off कि यार मतलब हम hotel room छोड़ के यहाँ क्यों आए? I could actually see my hotel room, which was a little more on a higher floor, even from
Then
a Singapore Flyer.
okay.
So there are these surprises that you always get, right?
Yeah.
Even if you plan meticulously everything.
So another question to you,
Yeah,
Dev. I know that you're a non-vegetarian.
yeah,
Ankita is a vegetarian.
absolutely.
And
She is a pure
how does
vegetarian.
she manage her food when she travels?
So Ankita is a very, very accommodative companion.
Okay.
Uh, she survives on something as simple as milk and bread.
Oh, okay.
And unless you're really traveling to place like Russia, it works out very well.
Hmm. I
So
remember she posting about that samosa that she got in Russia.
yeah, we found samosas in Russia, uh, in a Turkish restaurant.
Wow.
And that's when we realized, and that's when the waiter over there told us that samosa is actually a Turkish dish
Oh,
and not an Indian dish.
fun fact to the
Yes.
listeners.
So we went in a restaurant in Russia where we asked for curd, and we what we got was this dried powder sort of a textured curd, which is basically dried curd because that's what they eat there. And that is when Ankita was really shocked कि यार मैं क्या खाऊंगी इस trip पे पता नहीं, because Russia, please understand, they are proper meat eaters
Yeah.
because of the environment of that country. They don't find anything that is vegetarian. It's close to
Hmm.
vegetarian. What they eat as a staple food is fish
Yeah.
because it has a large coast.
Okay.
So I was very happy.
I think that's one of the reasons why I choose to travel more in India than international, because I feel the cuisines, right? I mean, I love food,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
so far, whatever I've tasted in
Hmm.
India, okay, I may be wrong, but I feel most of the foods are very bland, right? And
Hmm.
you know, different regions in India
Hmm.
have such amazing cuisines,
Yeah.
right? And that's something I love to try out.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
that's one of the main reasons why I love to travel within India.
Hmm.
Right now, think about it. So, two factors for me,
Hmm.
right, when I'm
Hmm.
traveling. One is that I have my own vehicle,
Hmm.
because I feel it's a pain searching for a cab, or even if you want to pre-book it, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
You don't know what the vehicle is like. Is there a possibility of a breakdown?
Correct.
And what the driver is like, because a lot of these drivers are very commercial. They'll take you to places where they get a commission and all that. So I try and avoid all that. Of course, like if you're traveling far
Hmm.
north,
Hmm.
you definitely want to book a flight and go there. but
Correct.
but the road trips, I mean, Indian roads are good. I
I
mean,
completely understand your point
yeah,
about food, Anu. Yeah.
yeah.
See, when you travel international, the choice is primarily to explore a new culture,
Hmm.
and food is a part of it. You
Okay.
have to be a little accommodative and a little flexible, and it's very easy for me to say that because I eat everything that can
Hmm.
walk, right? But for a vegetarian, yes, Ankita makes a tough choice.
Yeah.
But she's comfortable because she's not a foodie. She's comfortable compromising on that if she gets a new exposure,
Okay.
and that's why we are able to manage it. And again, we are able to find good Indian food abroad.
What about the road trips? Like, say you're in Russia. Uh, how good were the roads there? And
Beautiful, beautiful roads. I couldn't even think of driving on my own because uh, it was winter, right? We traveled in winter to Russia,
yeah,
December, January, peak
winter
winters,
Russia.
minus 30 degrees temperature.
Wow.
Driving on those roads is difficult.
You
Uh,
have these chained tires and stuff, or snow
Not
and stuff.
everywhere, but in
Okay.
general, there is snow everywhere.
Okay.
They try to maintain the roads as much as they can, and uh, even by Indian standards, they are not even comparable. They're
Okay.
that
So
good.
it's that good.
Yeah, even with that sort of a snowfall and that sort of a moistured environment, the roads are very very well maintained.
Okay.
But if you're not used to driving in snow, it's not
Yeah, I mean,
recommended
it's
to
a completely
try
different ball game.
yourself. It's a different country, different laws. You have to be really wary of that. And again, if you drive in these countries, you really miss out on what you are out there for, right? You're out there to talk to people. I enjoy talking to these taxi drivers.
Yeah.
You get to
Know a
I,
lot about.
I will tell you. So one of the places that we visited in Russia, one of the cities was Sochi.
Yeah.
Sochi had just hosted the Winter Olympics in 2018, so it was hot on our mind. Even till date, I'm in touch with our taxi driver from Russia,
Oh,
from
that's
Sochi.
nice.
He was a very sweet guy. So Sochi was one destination where we landed up, and we had we had accommodation booked, but we did not have the taxi booked.
Okay.
So we stepped out of the airport, and like India, those every all taxi drivers started jumping on us
Okay.
uh, to ferry us to our hotel. There was this one taxi driver standing far in the corner, and we decided to walk to him. Again, being that पेसिमिस्ट कि यार मतलब वो शायद से लालची नहीं होगा.
हाँ, एग्जैक्टली.
So we walked up to him and we told him that this is where we want to go. He quoted us a price which we had researched that this is going to be sort of the price that we will have to
Average
pay. Yeah.
price.
So
Yeah.
he quoted us a very average price. We stepped into his car. Had a very beautiful sort of an SUV. And once we started driving, I have this habit of getting into personal conversations with the drivers,
Yeah. Even I do that whenever.
because my thought process is, even if he has ill intentions, once
Yeah.
you start talking about his family, his children, that just softens them up a little
Yeah.
bit. तो मैं अंकिता को हमेशा ये कहता हूँ कि यार अगर वो मर्डर भी है ना, उससे बच्चों के और बीवी की बात करोगे ना, शायद वो प्लान चेंज कर लेगा.
शायद से चोरी करके छोड़ देगा.
हाँ, मतलब माफ कर देगा शायद से, बिकॉज यू आर गेटिंग इनटू द सॉफ्टर साइड ऑफ हिज
Yeah.
life, right? So I started talking about his children, what they do, where do they study, how's the education, and all that. And we built such a beautiful rapport that after he dropped off, and the beauty is, he did not understand a word of English.
Oh.
I did not understand a word of Russian.
So how did you guys conversate?
Google Translate.
Ah, technology.
Yes, I used to speak into my app, play it for him. Then he used to speak into his app and play it for me. It used to be a lengthy conversation, but again, emotions just break boundaries, right?
Yep.
We both realized that it was working out well, so we hired him for the next 3 days for our entire trip in Sochi. And when he dropped us back at the airport where we were flying out of Sochi into Moscow, uh, he said, I look forward to see you guys again coming back. Do visit. We need tourists like you to come back again and again. You've been very polite and very kind. And that really sorted out for us, right?
Yeah.
He does not understand our culture. He does not understand language. He does not understand us at all.
Yep.
But we had such a great time.
Still that emotion.
Yeah. So we also believe that when you're prepared, your luck is on your side.
Yeah.
You find such people. I was a little paranoid कि यार हम we are landing up in this place which is not a big town. क्या होगा?
Without the planning. Not
Without planning that last bit of
last bit
travel,
of
right?
travel. Yeah, true.
But it worked out.
Yeah.
And
that's what I like about impromptu travel, right?
yeah, but I can't live with this at every point.
हाँ.
मतलब ये कभी कभार हो सकता है. And don't try your luck too much.
Don't push yourself too much.
Fortune favors the brave, right?
Yeah.
But to be that brave, you have to be a little prepared. मतलब आर्मी वाले लड़ाई पे भी थोड़े से प्रिपरेशन करके जाते हैं ना. That's
True
my
that.
point.
I
यार,
think,
I can't dive at the deeper end directly. I need to understand the depth. I need to understand how safe are those waters. And literally understand them, because otherwise, yeah, it's too much of a risk, especially when you're traveling with your family.
Yeah, that's
Solo
something I
travel
agree.
है, दोस्त travel कर रहे हैं, बंदे travel कर रहे हैं, कुछ भी कर लो.
Yeah.
आप
So
रोड पे भी survive कर लोगे.
true that. Absolutely. And I think, you've come to a beautiful point, because my travel has changed after I started my family.
Yeah.
So I remember having this first trip with Shived,
Yeah.
who was 2.5 or 3.
Hmm.
We decided to take him to the mountains. We were at Himachal.
Re.
And it was my first time in Himachal, and I always wanted to go there. So I remember that time, calling up our friend Niharika, and she kind of sorted out the entire trip. So we had a cab end to end, because I did not want to take that risk with a kid
Exactly. Yeah.
with that kind of a climate. But yeah, it turned out amazing. I mean, we decided to travel to Delhi and then take a bus from Delhi to Manali, which was pathetic. It was just like a sliding seat that we had.
North
And
Indian roadways.
yeah, but the morning when I got up and when I was like at the Manali highway, Chandigarh Manali highway, wow, it was beautiful. It was that winter hit us the first
Yeah.
time. And the same day we reached our destination, and then we were told that this is the last day for Rotang Pass. So if you have to leave for Rotang Pass, it has to be now.
Wow.
So yeah, we had this very cool cab guy, and he guided us. You need to wear jumpsuits, you need to take proper winter wear.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was a good memory. So again, we did not know what we were going to do. Although we had a plan, ki we'll go to the market first, relax the first day, but it turned out to be exactly opposite of what we planned. So again, that's kind of a travel that I like, where
Hmm.
you're going rather against the plan, or your mind is not ready. So you're excited on what's coming next.
So I agree with you, Anuya. And this reminds me of my honeymoon, right? Uh, this is the first time that Ankita and I were traveling together international,
Yeah.
and we chose the most uh, unromantic honeymoon destination, which was Thailand, right? I mean,
The most bachelor
yeah,
place
exactly.
to be.
But because we were very young, we were not making a lot of money. Not that we do today, but back then even lesser. So we decided that let's do a destination which is relatively cheaper on our pockets.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So when you decided Thailand,
Hmm.
was it that मेरे को abroad जाना है करके Thailand की, possibly that you wanted to explore Thailand?
बहुत ही कैंडिड एंड सिंपल बताऊंगा, पासपोर्ट पे थप्पा चाहिए था.
अच्छा.
That's a big motivation for me.
Okay.
I mean, it sounds very very shallow and superfluous, but
No, I mean
that's the reality.
that's the reality.
मतलब अगर पैसे खर्च कर रहा हूँ तो पासपोर्ट पे थप्पा चाहिए.
अच्छा.
So we decided Thailand, and we bought a package from a travel agent. And this was our first international travel, so we decided कि यार let's not go too adventurous, let's not plan it ourselves. We bought a ready-made package.
Okay.
And
Something
it
that
was
I
not
would
one of the
do.
best experiences, to be honest,
Okay.
because we both were really pissed off with the whole scheduling.
Hmm.
सुबह 8 बज गए, तैयार हो जाओ, भागना है.
हाँ, ये चीज यार, ये चीज
शाम
खराब
को
है.
6 बज गए, वहाँ जाना है, भागना है. And this is something that we did not like. So from there on till date, international or domestic, all vacations are very bespokely planned by us.
Okay.
We do not buy any packages. Nothing.
Wow.
Everything is individually planned and bought.
But don't you have the fear of getting conned? Like,
No, it not really, because see, having spent some years in travel
yeah.
uh, and having educated in that sector, I have a knack of understanding what is true and what is a con. You ask the two right questions and you will get the answer.
Answer.
Plus, I focus a lot on reviews.
Okay.
Focus on the right sites.
So do you kindly do like a Google search or
So I
TripAdvisor?
will triangulate all information.
तो TripAdvisor से लिया, Google से
Ha,
लिया,
make
everywhere.
my trip, TripAdvisor, Google,
Hmm.
Booking.com, Trustpilot.
That's a lot of research.
Yeah, hence it involves 1 month, right?
Yeah.
Because when you're going for something which is very bespoke, very personalized, research karna padega. There is no shortcut to it. If you want a trip which is really peace of mind, फिर वो थोड़ा सा मेहनत करना पड़ता.
Do you like doing that part or
Oh,
does
both of us
Ankita?
love it.
Okay.
Both of us love it. Our planning is to the T where our entire budget is planned for.
Okay.
Every rupee that we spend is already pre-planned.
Hmm.
To be honest, so even a packet of cigarette is accounted for.
That's good.
Ankita has this habit of writing down every penny spent during the day
Nice.
on a piece of paper. And once we are back from the vacation, we put it on a proper Excel sheet. And we have a proper corporate review at the end of 1 week. कि क्या किया, कितना
Where
उड़ाया,
are the expenses heading?
how outside we were, how far we were from our budgeting.
Hmm.
And what we have realized is now we are perfect at it.
Yeah.
If we accounted कि इस trip में X खर्चा होगा, तो we never exceed that.
Nice.
We budget it to
I
that
think
level.
it's a talent that you come
You practice and get perfect at it like
perfect
anything
at
else,
it. Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And once when we see कि यार वो tally हो गया ना, it's such as happy. And that is when our trip actually ends.
हाँ.
So
ये अब
vacation से
खत्म हो
आने
गए
के
पैसे,
बाद
चलो घर जाना है.
एक no vacation से आने के बाद एक हफ्ता बैठ के जब वो tally करते हो,
हाँ.
everything, when we put down everything and we see कि yes, we budgeted for this amount and we spent this amount, it matches. It's such a peace of mind कि yes, we were able to do it perfectly well.
Hmm. I generally have this thing of, I mean, right as the way you kind of budgeted, but I go offhand. It's like I know that this trip will cost me X amount of money.
Hmm.
I would kind of put in some extra to it
Hmm.
because once I'm out, I don't want to feel like कि ये खर्चा है.
नहीं,
Then
because हमको
हाँ,
पता है वो होगा, so we
exactly.
already budget for it. So we will
Exactly.
keep a very high proportion money for miscellaneous because we know
Hmm.
we'll screw up. We
Yes.
know we will have that extra meal.
Extra
We
meal,
will
something
we will
fancy
buy
to
this
purchase.
fancy purchase.
Yeah.
We have our shoppings budgeted.
Ah.
We also budget for VAT refunds,
Ah.
GST refunds. We also budget for them. कि
That's good.
इतना पैसा वापस कमाएंगे भी वहां से. Because whenever you spend in foreign countries, you are eligible for a VAT refund,
Okay.
which you collect from the airport.
Yeah.
So we do that. We don't miss out on that.
Nice. Good
Hence,
point.
hence such a meticulous planning that we don't want to come back thinking कि यार ये कर सकते थे, ये नहीं किया. So before going, and today because we are in the world of internet, right? We already know what's out there.
Yeah.
We are not the first one to enter that country. Even when we went to Russia, we knew that there are 5,000 Indians residing there already.
Yeah.
It is not the most visited destination for Indians, but decent amount of Indians visit every year. So there was enough documented material already available कि क्या कर सकते हो, क्या देखना है. The most exciting part of our Russia trip, in fact, was a place called Murmansk,
Okay.
which is placed in the Krasnodar uh, state of Russia. To put into perspective, it's in the Arctic Circle.
Oh,
It's on the North
near
Pole.
the North Pole.
It's on the North Pole.
On the
It's
North
within
Pole.
the Arctic Circle. Very, very uncharted destination. Not available in any tourist itinerary
Ah.
because it's a
Just
very
because
offbeat
you've done your
destination.
research, you got
Yeah,
it.
very, very offbeat destination. And we wanted to do it because we wanted to experience extreme winters and we wanted to experience the
Northern Lights.
northern lights. We spent about 4 days in this town, very, very thinly populated. मतलब दिन होता था सुबह 11 बजे और शाम होती थी दोपहर के 1 बजे.
Okay.
Rest entire day is dark. Beautiful place. We enjoyed it. Now this was a destination where we wouldn't find any international chains
Yeah.
because it's a very offbeat destination. It's like one of those to put into Indian context, something like Gokarna,
Hmm.
which people know about but not many travel
Not many
because it's
travelers.
not easily accessible like a Goa.
Accessible and not commercial.
So finding a property there was a little difficult, but we got in touch with a tourist guide who was a Russian lady. By profession, she was a chemical engineer,
Wow.
but was moonlighting as a tourist guide.
Nice.
So we had beautiful conversation with her. We hired her for those 3 4 days. She suggested this property. We stayed there. Beautiful.
How was minus 30 degrees?
Oh, amazing! I loved it. I remember this, right. We were out aurora hunting. So aurora hunting is basically
Searching for the lights.
searching for the northern lights,
Yeah.
and northern lights can be witnessed only on certain days when the skies are clear, uh, and there should be zero, means literally zero light pollution.
Yeah. So you're
Only
far
then,
away from the city.
yeah. So we basically drove in about 400 kilometers from the city of Murmansk,
Oh. So
in
further into the North Pole or?
further into the north,
Oh, okay.
into the forest, where we had no access to anything that's unorganic.
Hmm.
We were just in the forest, and this was at about 1 o'clock midnight. And we were sort of given a ballpark time कि 3 4 बजे तक witness करने की possibility है.
Acha.
And it's a possibility because there is no guarantee.
No guarantee.
It's a natural phenomenon.
Yes.
It's basically हुआ तो हुआ, दिखा तो दिखा, कोई guarantee नहीं है. And this we had read about it enough कि nobody can assure you
True that.
northern lights.
Hmm.
So we were sitting in this car from 1 a.m. to 4 a.m. in the morning. Now, typical me, I had to smoke. So I had to step out of the car to smoke. Minus 30 degrees temperature with a cup of coffee in my hand. So this is what the tourist guide did for us, right? She arranged good food,
Yeah.
good hot coffee for us, even in that
Minus 30
condition.
degrees. Wow.
Minus 30 degrees in her car. So I stepped out of the vehicle to get a smoke, right? Now I had to remove all the layers on my face. I was wearing a muffler, I was wearing a sort of a face mask to protect my face from the
Skin.
skin from the chill. अब सिगरेट पीना है तो उतारना पड़ेगा, ग्लव्स निकालने पड़ेंगे. I had two drags and I said नहीं हो सकता ये.
It's too painful.
It's too painful, it's hurting.
Okay.
So it's difficult. It's adventurous. Now some things can't be planned for.
Yes.
We planned a lot of things, but this is my part of adventure. कि यार मतलब ठीक है 90% is planned, 10% luck पे छोड़ देते हैं.
Okay.
So that's how we like to move around. That's
Nice.
the sort of breather room that we like to have.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, definitely having a kid has changed my travel habits a lot.
Yeah.
But I always have this thing for India. It's like there are so many freaking places to go.
No, so I have visited some parts of India, right?
Yeah.
I have, and especially with the Ducati Scrambler,
Yeah.
I have explored a lot of roads in India.
Mm-hmm.
I have covered the entire Maharashtra belt. I have covered some part of Gujarat. I have done the Mumbai, Bangalore, Mumbai, Goa routes. And it's not a problem at all.
Yeah.
And I don't need to plan. Uh, in domestic trips, we actually don't plan too much.
Yeah, I mean
Because
that's the
you
beauty
know
of it, right?
everything.
You don't have to stress
हाँ,
about
you know कि India
कि
है,
क्या है, क्या
जुगाड़
खाना
हो
है.
जाएगा.
Exactly.
कोई ना कोई मिल जाएगा.
Exactly. And I think to our listeners out there, we are two different people with two
Absolutely.
different perspectives. And
Yeah.
I think I wanted to, call this out that whatever it is, right? If you like to travel, go out there. Probably you might love an international trip, probably you'll hate it.
Yeah.
And, there are 10,000 things that you can do in India. There are 10,000 other things that you can do abroad. So
Absolutely.
I think it's, it's your conscious decision of what you want.
Only
And
one.
I think,
Yeah, please.
I
Anu.
mean, to add to it, I would always request people when they're traveling, be cautious about the environment. Don't be that stupid tourist where you litter the place. And, that really pinches me, right? A lot of these commercial places, like, for example, Lonavala or even Leh Ladakh, right? You kind of, you see plastic bottles, you kind of see the lace packet. It really hurts, right? So
Yeah.
if you're traveling, guys, ensure that you don't pollute the environment, whatever environment you're in, whether in India or abroad.
Yeah, wherever you go.
Yeah, just
Just
ensure
be
that
human.
human and sensible human.
Yeah. See, another not recommendation, but something that I always say: don't travel for social media.
Yeah, that's what I was about to
Travel for yourself.
Yes.
Travel
Don't
to
go
places
because your friend
where-
is going.
Yeah, travel to places where you find a connect. So we
Yes.
decided to go to Russia only after watching a documentary on World War One. World War Two. So we were watching this documentary on Netflix, right? On Amazon Prime or Netflix somewhere, World War Two in colors, and we've heard this one line that the German Nazi army was defeated by the Russian winter,
Russian winter.
and we thought, यार इसको तो देखना बनता है.
कि ऐसा क्या कि
ऐसा
जर्मन
कौन
को
है
रोक
जो
दिया.
हिटलर की आर्मी को हरा दिया. And that's why we decided to go to Russia, and it was a beautiful experience.
Good.
We very rarely post on social media when we are traveling.
Good.
And it's usually under my wife's pressure.
Hmm.
कि यार इतना खर्चा किया थोड़ा सा डाल देते हैं. But it's not my choice, to be honest. We travel for ourselves.
That's good.
We travel. I personally believe I travel for my memories.
And I think that's how it's supposed to be, right?
I don't
You
need a
have-
mobile app to remind me of my travels.
Exactly.
I
You
have,
just need a photo that you can keep up in your house, right?
No, I don't even need that. I have the memory in my mind. I mean, I'm old
okay.
school, pretty that way. Pretty
No,
old
I
school
mean,
that way.
I would always love a photo that I can put up in the wall that, this is the memory that I have.
We shop enough during our travels, and they keep reminding us कि यहाँ पे गए थे.
Yes.
I mean, like that's my kind of memory. So
So
yeah,
I think, very beautifully put. I think what we should take from this particular podcast is, go out there, enjoy your time.
yeah,
Don't be behind that phone. Click pictures, click good pictures, but keep it, for your memory.
yes,
Never put your boarding passes on social media. That's a big risk.
absolutely no.
And, just have fun, whether being in India, international, wherever your budget permits you. I think India also has so many places to explore. I think you
Yes.
should definitely try the national parks, the sand deserts, and
Oh, one
sand
thing that I
dunes.
would recommend is the Run of Kutch festival.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's so many things. So
Yeah.
just Google, go out there, have fun, and let us know what you like about
Yeah. Just
today's
be
episode.
responsible and conscious of your surrounding.
Yep.
Don't mess with the locals.
Yep.
That's it. I hope you liked this episode. And please do like, share, subscribe to the DNA show. Keep listening to us. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much, Dev, for sharing your experience. Goodbye, guys.
And that was Dev and Anirudh, your hosts for the DNA show. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to rate us on your streaming platform. This episode was recorded at Manicpod Studios. Your executive producers are Ankita Dwivedi and Jayashri Pisharadi, and your sound engineers are Rohit Das and Mainak Chakraborty. The production for this podcast was coordinated by Arnav Dogra. Stay tuned in for more exciting content.